is probably one of the best guns in the game, and people kind of are sleeping on it a little bit. We still got to do a little bit of stat comparisons when we look at the charts. I haven't got to do that yet. But just overall, I've been using this weapon wrong, okay? As you know, I've been a big fan of the compensators and things like that on rifles for a while now, just because it allowed my accuracy to be a little bit more consistent over ranges and things. But what I started to find the other day was that my accuracy was so good that I wasn't hitting as many headshots because the recoil bouncing up, because I aim for the chest a lot, the recoil bouncing up goes to the head, and that can actually help me deal some more damage instead of being 100% accurate when I'm shooting my shots, right? Now, what we started to try on the M4 and things like that was taking the compensator off, leaving on our base foregrips or the TAC foregrip or Ranger, anything like that, and starting to move the wounding effect from AKs onto our 5.56 weapons just to see how they would kind of compare to the high damage rounds. And it wasn't too bad. It wasn't as good as the AK, I would say, but it still added extra pressure, and I think wounding is a very big deal in this game. Now, as you can see, the build that we put together right here is it's basically to show you, because we did a little bit more testing, right? Because we took the compensators off, we took the kilo back out, and we realized that without the compensator, it was still a laser beam pretty much at decent ranges, and we were using a commando foregrip, and I don't really remember what spiked me to take it off, but I decided to take the commando foregrip off and test it anyway. The gun is still pretty accurate. It's not any worse than an M4 is, even with the bottom mods, right? So essentially, the compensator, it was really nice, but I was kind of handicapping myself because it's my ability to handle the vertical recoil. So if anything, I'd probably just need to muzzle brake on some guns like the AK, and I just need to learn how to manage the vertical recoil myself. Now, now that we figured this out though, because we were starting to kind of reduce the attachments on weapons before, um, we've realized now that we don't need that many attachments. And now with the Kilo, it seems to be one of those guns that you don't really need any attachments for. I'm using the long barrel, no underbarrel, no muzzle. I have a tack laser, a mini reflex, 50 round mag, and ballooning effect. And you can see that this gun doesn't have very many issues. But where this is coming into play now is that you can see right here, this aim down sight speed, movement speed penalty, right? I can run a monolithic suppressor instead of wounding here if I want and still have fast ADS times, very, very fast muzzle velocity, still good accuracy, things like this. But you can see it is aiming down sight speed and aim walking steadiness. There's a deduction there. If I use this, it's aiming stability and aim down sight speed. You can see, like, by taking these off, right, by managing the recoil myself, I'm gaining ADS speed and I'm gaining aiming stability. By not using the monolithic, because we never used them anyway before, because we just used compensators, I'm still keeping aim down sight speed and aim walking steadiness. And then all these underbarrel attachments here I pretty much saved, but here I'm saving movement speed. So not only is the gun still a pretty good laser beam, it ADS is faster than it did before. Um, I'm able to move faster than I could before with the gun itself walking around. I'm starting to use the mini reflex sight instead of a VLK, and I'm able to see closer enemies a lot easier. It's not going to be as easy longer distances as it was before, but that's fine. The gun's time to kill is pretty similar to an M4. It's about the same. it doesn't require as much recoil stabilization or anything on the weapon compared to the M4. The fire rate is very similar. It's like it's 7 something compared to the 800 of the M4. And we're able to use the 50 round mags. I could even go to 60 round mags if I want to. And we don't have to use this wounding effect if we don't want to. We can go and pop on anything else. Aiming stability, we could put on some aim down sight speed, some sprint speed to increase that. And we found that the gun is actually improved drastically compared to how we used it when we were using with all the barrel attachments in the underbarrel before. The ADS speed was so slow, it didn't feel very fluid. But we'll join a match real quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. The, I just did a test on a custom multiplayer where I just kind of walked and then I shot an area, and the grouping was still very, very tight compared to other guns that I've tested, like the M4 and the M13s. It was actually very comparable to an M13. Once you get the recoil pattern down, it's a little different because I've been using M4s and stuff for so long, trying to pull to the left on my mouse. But now I got to pull to the right, which for me is probably a lot easier because I can push my hand out a lot easier than I can drag it. Like I can push it out and down a little bit easier than I can push it left and down. If that makes any sense. It's just, I guess it's just how I set on my desk. But let's do a plunder. I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. I guess we'll still use the combat stems. I don't think we really have to use the combat stem. Here's the thing too, though, is the increased movement speed on the weapon you wouldn't think would be that big of a deal. But if you look at the amount of movement speed that you gain, it seems like a minor thing. But with perks like double time, being able to crouch walk and be able to move that much faster is just that much better. It's a very weird thing. But we've been trying to make a smooth working AR for a while now, and we haven't been able to really get it going. The M4 is pretty smooth, but you still have to deal with the recoil on the M4 a lot more than the Kilo. And they have similar times to kill, so...
Check your gear and weapons. We go soon. Enemy soldier incoming. Soldier incoming. Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Time to see what you have learned. Plunder. Mission is simple. Secure more cash than the enemy. incoming. Enemy UAV overhead. Supply cache located. You're secure. Enemy UAV overhead.
Setting a charge.
Next objective located. Driver LC is marked. Extractor standing by. Objectives updated. Enemy Allied UAV overhead.
Target marked. Send it.
cache identified. Marking location now. Contract updated. New objective identified. Enemy UAV overhead. Time is up. Supply cache ready for pickup. Stay alert. Allied cluster strike incoming. Target marked. Send it.
So we didn't get as many fights as I'd like, but you can see it's pretty good. It might not be as good at shooting across the map against like a sniper, but everywhere else it's pretty much the same. I did lose that last fight though, just because it was pushing, the gun's recoil was pushing to the left, and I was pulling my mouse down to the left, so I happened to miss towards the end. But the performance is there. The recoil is still really manageable. The ADS speed is a lot faster than it was before. I have a wounding effect on my rifle. I have good mobility, being able to move around pretty quickly, being able to sneak walk quickly. I think all of these are very good factors into what this weapon can do, and I don't really think it needs any additional attachments. I'm pretty sure just with the barrel, it's like at 1100 bullet velocity, which is higher than the M4 and stuff, also, which is pretty interesting to me. By all means, you should give this a try. See how it works for you. I think it's very manageable, and it's probably going to be one of the top guns I go for right now. I still like the AK though. It has some good damage. We might have to make a PKM class maybe, just to see how that fares. Yeah.